worst at it. We can eat, we can think, we can work, we can go to war, we can pop out children, we can do all kinds of things. But the most important part of being human, we are the worst at it. Anybody know what it is?
Love.
Loving, yeah. We don't know a thing about it. We've got all these ideas that the world tells us love is about, and of course, if you take a look at the world, it doesn't have a clue. And if it did, we wouldn't have orphans. If it did, we wouldn't have nursing homes. If it knew about love, we wouldn't have divorces. We wouldn't have child abuse, family abuse, mental hospital. We wouldn't have any of those things, no prisons. If we understood love as humans, it wouldn't happen. But because we don't understand, we have a world that is filled with emotional and spiritual diseases. We're putting Band-Aids all over a body that's falling apart. Why? Why don't we understand love? Because we look in the wrong places. Love is an act of the will. It's not emotions. It's not feelings. It's not romance. It's not lust. It's not visual. It's an act of the will. Our ability to say yes. Our ability to go beyond all of that. I want to tell you about some people, and then we're going to talk about the topic. I hope he's still alive. If he's not, I hope he's gone to God. His name is Tom Slevin. Tom was an extraordinary man. I met him when he was a kid. He was only 22 years old. And he was 4'11". That's awfully short for a man. Short for a woman. That's short for a man. And Tom looked like a tree. He was like this. Boom. And he was as solid as a rock. And Tom was a dynamo. He could just, unbelievable. He would get up every morning at 3:30, and he would go to the pool, and he'd swim 40 laps before he'd go to work. And he worked in the dining hall at the college. And then afterwards he'd do a full load of classes, and then he'd ride his bike in the evening. And I thought, how can anybody be so driven? And I asked him, why do you do that? How do you do it? He said, I do it because it's a matter of the will. My body says no. Everything about it says no, but I say yes. And I push because I'm not going to allow anything to stop me from what I want to do. So I do it. It's a matter of the will, he said. That's why I don't have that kind of will. I'll tell you, I cannot do that. He says, sometimes my entire legs and my joints are aching, but I'm still swimming. I will not stop because that's what I'm going to do. So that went on for quite some time. And then Tom got religion. And he stopped. I said, what did you stop for? He said, because I was doing it for my pride. I was doing it to look good. I was doing it for my vanity and for an ego. I wasn't doing it for anyone. I was doing it for me, and that's ridiculous. He says, life is not about doing things for me. It's about doing things for others. And so now I have to figure out what God wants me to do, not what I want to do. And he heard about someone by the name of Mother Teresa. I don't know if most of you have heard of who she was. She was a Roman Catholic nun who now in the Catholic Church is a saint. And she was Albanian by birth and ancestry. Roman Catholic. She became a nun, and she went to Ireland to be a nun. And when she was in Ireland, she joined the Sisters of Loretto. And then they sent her to India to be a teacher. And she went to a rich girls' school in Calcutta. And thought it was wonderful. And after 20-something years or so, maybe even longer, I forgot what she was teaching, as they go out of the sisters' school, there was a wall around, there'd be all these people suffering and dying, and it struck her. And she had to do something. And he'd heard about Mother Teresa. And so he wrote to her. And he said, I want to come work with you. She said, oh, well, that's very good. She says, but you know, unless you're willing to love, you'll just be one more person we have to take care of. So if you don't know what love is, stay home. And she was right to the point, you know. So she says, come, if you want, come. And so he decided he was going to raise the money to come. He's going to pay off all his school debts, and he was going to raise the money to go to India. And so what he decided to do was he decided to get a bicycle. And he was going to go across America from New York to California and California back. His family was from a god-awful place in California called Lodi, which is a hideous little town in the valley. And that's where he was from. And he was going to ride across the country, and every place he was going to stop, and he was going to go to every church he could think of and ask for money to take to India, to give to the poor. And he rode a bicycle across the Rockies to go to do this. And he said, rain, snow, cold, heat, didn't matter, he was going to go. And now this was probably before many of you were born, 1964. He rode his bicycle across the country. And he raised, which I think is a phenomenal amount of money that people would trust him, he raised $31,000 to take to India. That's a lot of money, even now. But then, the people would give him money to go, but he stopped away, and they gave him the money. They trusted him. He said it was the easiest ride he ever made in his life because he didn't do it for himself. And he didn't do it for pride. He did it because he was helping someone. And he was learning what it was to love. Love was not about him. Love was doing something for somebody else to help somebody else because he wanted to. And because the person he was doing it for was the children of his father that he loved. So he was doing it. He said that bicycle ride taught him everything he didn't know before. He went to India. He met Mother Teresa. He worked. And then he was there for like, I don't know how many years. Came back to America and was going to set the world on fire in America. And he said he got caught up in teaching people. He started telling people how to live their lives because he had learned. And he met a very beautiful young girl. She was a Mormon. She convinced him to become a Mormon.
Oh my God.
He became a Mormon. He stopped believing in anything. He started concentrating on himself, and he got lost. Because he got proud again. Because he was doing it for himself and for her, and they were going to build a house. He lost the zeal that was motivated by love. And he got a zeal that was motivated by pride and money and ambition and pleasure, and he lost it all. That's one story. There was another. Her name was Bernadette Soubelay. Bernadette was a young Creole girl. Her mother was from, you would know, is it Maitre? What's it called, the town that's in New Orleans?
Meadowrick.
Meadowrick. She was a light-skinned black woman, a mother. She married, as she would call the man, a high yeller, another light-skinned black man. And they had 10 children. The mother was very attractive, but she had mental illness, and she became an alcoholic. And so she didn't do anything. She didn't take care of her house. She didn't take care of the children. We'd bring them food. And I remember one Thanksgiving we brought them everything, boxes of food. And I went back about a month later to see how they were doing. And when I went into the kitchen, the turkey that we had given them, they had cooked, but left the carcass. And it was still on the table a month later, all dried up, with things all, you know. And that's how everything in the house was. Garbage. You walked through dirt and things piled up and, you know, boxes and things everywhere. And Bernadette was so proud of her mother. She loved her mother. She'd rush home from school to take care of her mother. She'd do everything. She'd try to do things. And so I talked to her and I said, Bernadette, how old are you now? And she said, I'm 15. And her brothers, and the house was just unbelievable. And I said, why don't you clean up the house? And you know what her comment was? She said, Father, if I clean up the house, it's going to tell my mother that she's not good. And when I did it the first time, it hurt her. So I can live with this as long as I don't hurt my mom. She said, I love her. And it doesn't matter if the house is dirty. I love her. And there's other things that are more important. How she feels about herself is more important. She was 15 years old. And then, before I was leaving, she said, I want to show you something. She showed me where her room was. She was the only girl, so she had her own room. It was like a palace. Clean, simple. She says, this is where I live, Father, but my mother wouldn't understand, and I would hurt her. So I live in her world because I don't need that. I thought, she's 50 years old, not me. I couldn't believe her maturity. And she did that because she loved. She didn't correct her mother. She didn't tell her that she was a slob. We need to do this. This place is filthy. She loved her mother, and she wouldn't hurt her over something that didn't matter. Now, you can have all kinds of arguments, well, it's more health-wise to do it and all. But love reigns supreme on this one. So what's wrong with us? Tell me, what's wrong with us? This is what we have to learn. Not to live in a dirty house and have a clean room, but to love. That's what we have to learn. Not love ourselves. If we're not careful, we'll lose it. And we've all lost it. I've lost it. We've all lost what we thought we had because it was all about us. The Lord Jesus Christ says to you and to me, be in this world. You need to be here to show people the way to the Father, but don't be of the world. We're all here, and we're all of it. We're up to here in the world. We don't even know how much the world owns us, but it does. It does. So how do we deal with the world? Now, what is the world? The world, according to the teachings of the fathers, is the carnal, meaning fleshly. I don't mean sinful. The fleshly, this kind. The carnal behavior and the carnal mind of man is the world. The fallen state of man is the world. That's what we talk about spiritually when we say the world. The Lord's not saying, don't be of the world like you're from another planet. He's talking about that you are not of the mind of the world. And what governs the world? The passions. And the passions are an illness that destroys the soul. All of our natural, those things God gave us, all of our natural faculties, our ability to have free will, our ability to love, our ability to think, all those faculties that are natural to man are made sick by the passions. So what we consider love is really lust. What we consider love is pleasure. What we consider important in life is the bizarre. I was telling somebody, if we could be invisible, it's hard for me to be invisible, but if we could be invisible and walk through the East Village and see people with their faces tattooed and holes in their ears and in their nose and all over their body parts and piercings and punctures and tattoos and all this stuff. What is ugly has become beautiful. God made us. There's nothing that needs to be changed. But we don't understand that. So we play around. Everything that is natural to man no longer is appealing because we don't listen to God, we listen to the world. And we got it all screwed up. So the unnatural becomes natural. And the natural becomes unnatural. So people say, holy? I'm not holy. Holiness is not for me. But man was meant to be holy. Not unholy, not sinful. Evil passions are not natural. Lust is not natural. Chastity is natural. Purity is natural. Holiness is natural. Kindness is natural. Mercy is natural. Not war, not hatred, not jealousy, not envy, not lust. Those are not natural things in man. Those are unnatural things. The passions have told you what is good is wrong and what is wrong is good. Because we've lost our ability to see. We've lost our ability to understand. I had a friend that came to see me in Treadwell. And he loves city. He's nuts, like me. He thinks the city is life, not the country. And he said to me, do you think you can start up the car? I said, why? He said, I want to put my head next to the exhaust. I'm getting lightheaded with all this fresh air. I got to get a little New York in me. And he was, of course, joking. But that's us. I can't be in church all day. I can't pray. Let me go to the clubs. Let me go out and dissipate. Let me have a drink. Let me have some. This is not natural. We've lost it. We've lost the contact with what is real, and therefore we have no love in our life. Because unreal isn't love. You can't love when you're unreal. So people see their person they say they love as something they have to possess and own, not something that they respect, love, and share, and by that relationship both are free. So the evil passions start to erode, to corrupt, to change the heart of man to love and to serve, to being hard. We don't trust anybody. We're not going to give anything. We say all those kind. We get very calloused. We become insensitive to God, to ourselves, to others. We don't trust. Everything is about pleasing us. Our desires start becoming for possessions instead of relationship. Our desires start to become for the ease and comfort of life instead of loving, serving, and being available to others. Our desires start becoming for bodily comforts. Our desires start to want luxury, and we start, this isn't art, this isn't this, we start getting ridiculous. We buy absurd clothes, we buy, some idiot puts together 6 threads and offers it to you for $5,000. You say, this is a beautiful dress. He's got you over a barrel. You're an idiot. You don't need a $6,000 dress. It doesn't keep you warm or anything else. It's just all for your vanity, because your desires are warped. You're after luxury. It is for pleasures of the body. I can't eat that. Oh, I wouldn't drink that wine. Oh, no, it's not $700 bottle, or it's not $10,000. I don't drink that kind of. I don't. How ridiculous we are. Absolutely ridiculous. All these foodie things that are going on. Everybody, going around and eating the backside of a beetle or something because it's the in thing to do, and everybody's saying how wonderful it is, and it's absolutely disgusting because they're crazy. They have no purpose in life except stupidity. That's what happens when your passions control you. Our passions control us. We have governments all over the world that are bombing each other and killing each other. And we're saying we're wiping out evil, and we bomb a village and kill innocent women and children. Even uninnocent people we're killing. Why are we killing them? The world without God is a nightmare. The world without God becomes savagery. We want to conquer, control, have, possess, consume, and destroy. We don't love without God. It's all about us. The world attacks man. And when we allow the world and our passions to enter into our life, it confuses our thinking. We begin to think other than what God says. We start to think, who needs God? God is just a theory. God is just somebody's idea of religion. I don't need that. I can think for myself. We've all heard that. Maybe some of us are stupid enough to have said it, and thinking that we can be without God. When we are allowing our passions to control us, we are constantly desiring to be entertained, distracted, because we can't take the emptiness that exists within inside because we have no relationship. So we have to do things we're filled with fantasy. Not creativity, not creative understanding, thinking, and imagination, but fantasy. If only. I wish that. Filled with lustful thoughts, filled with greedy thoughts, filled with anger and judgment, all that junk that rides jealousy, envy, all that junk that conquers your life are the passions. It's not natural. It's when you don't know how to love. We have images that come flying through our mind that keep us from thinking and loving. We do it all the time. We desire that which is not good for us. We desire drugs. We desire inordinate sexual lives. We desire power. We desire all kinds of things that destroy us because we have gone away and our minds have been darkened by the passions that we've gone from with this life. The world will destroy your soul. And we all know that. Did you ever hear anybody say, I know you've never heard it, did you ever hear anybody say that their career is everything? Later on I'll take care of the rest, but right now I'm on the fast track. I'm going places. I'm going places. They're going places, all right. Everybody in New York has a dream. It's a nightmare. It's not a dream. They're all running after that which is impossible to achieve. They're running after love and happiness in the world. It isn't in the world. It's within us. It's within God. The world beguiles. I love that word. It beguiles the soul. It deceives the soul. It entices the soul. We've all been in those positions where we are beguiled by someone or something that tempts us to do which the very thing we know we should not be doing, and we do it anyway. I have to tell this story. I've told it before, but I'll tell it again. It's always good to tell good stories. One day I arrived at church on a Sunday, and as we're getting out of the car, there's this man in a panic. Comes to the car, Father, I gotta go to confession. I said, would you let me get out of the car? It's 6:30 in the morning. What are you talking about, confession? And he's a wreck. So I'm getting the out of the car. I said, I gotta go in and do proscomedy, and then afterwards I'll hear your confession. What's the big deal? So I go, do proscomedy. Then I said to him, all right. He tells me, Father, I committed adultery. I thought, it's wonderful. This man has a conscience. He's so distraught that he committed adultery, he can't wait to confess it. And what a grace. Then he tells me the story. He's from Europe, on a business trip in New York. This is years ago. And he said, he went, I don't know if it was a bar, club, whatever, doesn't matter where it was. He met some woman. He got drunk. She got drunk. They go to his hotel. He wakes up in the morning, Sunday morning. He wakes up. No watch. No wedding ring. No wallet. No passport. No girl. So he goes into the bathroom, and written on the mirror with lipstick, or whatever she wrote up with on the mirror, says, I could have killed you if I wanted to. And it freaked him. He started trembling. He was horrified. He thought, I have a wife. I have children. I have a soul. What have I done? What have I done? And he was trembling. And he said, it would destroy my wife. It would destroy my children. And all I thought about was me. I never thought about anybody. I didn't even think about my soul. I thought about me. He said, she gave me the best warning of my life. She saved my life. She didn't know it. I could have killed you if I wanted to. We've all been, it could have killed you, and it didn't. We've all been there. God has spared us. But we all could have died with many things we did, and it would all be over with. Everything we ever did would have been destroyed. But somehow we slipped under the rope. I'll tell you one more. New York is full of stuff, you know. There was a man, another business trip, but he was an American. Another routine, you know, these ladies, you know, the black widows, got him. He was a creep. And he's out and he gets drugged. He wakes up in the morning in a hotel where he was staying. And he panics because he's in the bathtub. And across the bathtub is one of those like wire type things where you can put, while you're in the bathtub, you can put things on it. You know what I'm talking about? It's like a tray or like a, like a tray. It goes across. And it had a phone with a note. And he was covered to his neck in ice. Packed in ice. And he was, what's going on? And tries to get out, and his thing's across the tub. He sees the note. He takes the note and he reads it, and it says, dial this number. So he does. And the guy says, don't get out of the tub. Don't get out of the tub. Call this number for help, 911. They took his kidney out.
Oh, I heard about this happening.
Took his kidney
My
out.
sister told me about this. Oh.
And he was packed in ice so he wouldn't bleed to death.
Oh, gross.
They stitched him up, and they were selling his kidney on the black market.
Yep.
May I ask you, what do you tell your wife
Ew.
when you get home? That I don't have a kidney.
Whoops.
Where is your kidney? I was on a business trip and I lost my kidney. Let me tell you. We're selling them. Let me tell you, every one of us in this room, every one of us in this room has been on a business trip and cheated on God. Every one of us. Every one of us has been on a business trip and cheated on someone else. We